here's what I want to do. I want to give you some ways to think about productivity that you might not be thinking about right now. Because the fact of the matter is, when I hear the word productivity, I don't want you to think about plowing through a to-do list. Because part of the reason why you don't feel productive is because you're busy doing the things that aren't important to you. Yeah, do you need to make sure you have milk or you got almond milk or oat milk in the fridge? Of course you do. But have you ever noticed that all the busy crap in life tends to take care of itself? That you don't really need to focus your time and energy on the minutia that's on your to-do list, because that stuff tends to grab your attention. What you really need to do is figure out how to create time and how to create the focus that you need in order to feel like you are making progress on the important things. And that's really what productivity means to me. You get all kinds of stuff done. You're really busy in your life, aren't you? But are you getting progress made on the important things? Probably not, because that's the challenge for most of us. And so first things first, when it comes to trying to have a breakthrough in productivity, you need a game plan. You need to have a very short list every week of what actually matters to you. Okay? Because I guarantee you, if you were to do an audit of the way that you spend your time this week, you would probably see that 95% of your time is spent on things that you really don't care about. And even more scary, I bet you don't even realize how much time you are wasting just mindlessly scrolling through social media or sitting on the couch with the TV on, also answering emails. That is the least productive way to spend your time. Multitasking, spending your time just sort of zoning out on things that don't matter. What I want you to do is I want you right now to think about, what is it between now and the end of this week, for example? What is it that matters to you? What's the most important thing that you would love to make progress on that you never seem to find the time? Okay? It's a whole nother conversation for us to talk about whether or not you actually have time, because the fact is you do have time. You have plenty of time to make small amount of progress every single day on what matters to you. What you do not have right now is you do not have a plan for prioritizing the important stuff in your life. What's the one thing that you want to make progress on, that you want to find some time to be productive on? Because productivity, everybody, true productivity is not plowing through a to-do list on shit that doesn't matter. True productivity is making progress on something that matters to you, because that's going to make you feel like you own your life again. That's going to make you feel like you're putting yourself first. And these projects, everybody, you don't have to get them done this weekend. You just need to identify, make a plan for what's the most important thing. I want to get my sister's SSI paperwork completed for her. I would love to spend more time with my son. I would love to work on my YouTube channel. Amazing. Amazing, everybody. I would love to remember to high five myself in the morning I see somebody. I'd love to spend time on my job search. Right now, all we're doing in order to have a breakthrough in productivity, step number one is to identify one thing that you want to make progress on by the end of the week. That's it. Could be today, could be this weekend. Just identify the one thing you want to make progress on that matters to you, that you never seem to have time on. For me, I really want to spend time with my son. And what does that mean? That means I got to be intentional about carving out time to be with him. And so we're going to go skiing together this weekend in Vermont. And I have to take the step to organize the time, because just going up and being with him for the weekend, that isn't going to lead to quality time together, right? It's going to leave me in his presence and him in my presence, but He'll probably want to spend time with his friends. He'll probably want to spend time with his girlfriend. I'll be busy doing other things. And so you really need to identify what is it that matters to you that you want to prioritize and make progress on. That's step number one, everybody. Because if you don't actually make a game plan, it's sort of like a football team that's playing and they score in the wrong end zone. You need to know what is it that matters to you, because you can be busy as hell, you can be productive as hell on all the wrong shit, and then literally it's like scoring in the wrong end zone because you were not focused on the goal that mattered to you. Okay, great. So I see so many people writing down what they want. And I also see people going, I'm so bad at organizing my time. No, you're not. You're terrible at figuring out and identifying what matters to you. Because the fact is, everybody, based on research, if you end every week feeling like you made progress on one thing, just one thing that matters, and notice I said progress, not that you got it done, that you just spent some time and you just pushed yourself forward a little bit. If you, based on the research, end every week going, wow, I made a little bit of progress on something that mattered to me, the book I want to write, the YouTube channel I'm trying to start, the job search I'd like to do, researching trauma patterns in relationships so that I can show up better in my relationships, finding a therapist, spending time doing that. Whatever it is that is the most important project for you personally, identify. Step number one. Number two, focus on progress. So part of the reason why you don't feel productive is because you're trying to complete everything. And so let's take one of the things that I saw somebody write, that you want to clean up one of the spare rooms in your apartment or in your house, that maybe there's a spare bedroom and you have been wanting to turn it into a home office, or maybe one of the kids has moved out of the house and you want to declutter that room, like a project around organizing. Maybe it's something in your garage or your basement. Or, hey, here's one for me. Our daughter moved out and started her life, post-college. And our other daughter is out in Los Angeles going to college. And we, no joke, have 3 garbage bags full of clothes that somebody needs to go through to figure out what needs to be donated, what could you actually sell because it still has tags on it. And it has been sitting there for 2 months. So maybe you have a pile of that kind of stuff in your house. This is not a priority for me. I'm perfectly fine with it sitting in the room where our laundry is. The priority for me this week is to carve out dedicated time to hang out with our 16-year-old son and do something fun together. Because we spend a lot of time together, but we don't get intentional about doing something specific. But if you want to declutter, for example, here's where we all go wrong. You identify what you want to do, and then you think you got to get it done. In order for me to go through 2 bags of clothing, for example, in order for you to clear out your garage, that could take you 2 days to do it the right way, right? Because, if you don't give yourself enough time, then you're going to piles, and so then you think I can't get it done, and so then you never schedule it, right? Okay. We're not going to worry about completion, everybody. We're going to worry about progress. So when you think about things in terms of progress, it can shrink the amount of time that you need. Maybe all that you're going to do is you're going to work on one dresser in the room, or you're going to work on one shelving unit in the garage. And by simply making the time to, number one, identify what matters to you, and number 2, identify what meaningful progress could look like, you will now shrink the amount of time, you will define the project, and you can make the time for it. And simply just doing that is going to make you feel more productive based on the research. All right, now let me talk about what you need to do. Okay, I literally have notes for this. Oh, there we go. And I just lost it because I really want to make sure that I teach you all this stuff. So, here, Becca, can you help me? Because this is not, because my thing is not, never mind. Guys, I am trying, multitasking is not how you be productive. And you are watching me multitask right now. We're going to get into some of the science now. So now that is how you leverage something called the progress principle. Okay, the progress principle is really important when it comes to productivity. This is a concept that I first learned about in the Harvard Business Review. So if it's in the Harvard Business Review, everybody, very fancy. Must be accurate, right? If it's coming from Harvard. Well, the progress principle is a study that comes from a study where researchers looked at, I believe it was 14,000 work journals. And what they found after looking at the work journals of how people spent their time, 14,000 people, is that at the end of the week, the people that felt like they had been the most productive and the people who felt the most fulfilled by their work week were the people who simply made progress on something that mattered. And so by you identifying what matters to you this week, and by you identifying a way that you can make a small amount of progress on it, you are leveraging this research from Harvard Business Review about what creates productivity and meaning and fulfillment in your life. And that's making progress on something that matters. Now that I've introduced you to the progress principle, I want to unpack some of the science around productivity, okay? So that you can also bring what research says about what productive people do to leverage brain power to be more productive. Ready? Everybody ready? Okay, good. So here's a couple concepts that I want you to think about. First, we're going to talk about globally how I want you to think about being able to focus your attention and get things done, okay? And this is on a day-to-day basis. First of all, when I talk about productivity and the ability to focus your attention on a day-to-day basis, I want you to understand a simple fact. In order to get things done, in order to direct your focus and move through a task, you are going to require some brain power. And so I want you to think about your brain like a car engine, right? And a car engine is what you need in a car to power you forward. And your brain is like an engine that will power you forward to help you get tasks done. Now, an engine requires fuel, right? And sure enough, your brain has a certain amount of fuel. So imagine that you got like a tank that has fuel in it in your brain, okay? And as you wake up and as you go through your day and as you direct your attention on things, guess what happens to that fuel in your brain? It starts to drain. And so I want you to know this because the tactics and the tools that I'm about to teach you relate to the fuel in your brain and what times of day you have the most fuel. What times of day you are more likely to be able to focus, okay? And what do you think, everybody, is the best time of day for your brain and for the amount of fuel that you have in your brain naturally in order to be able to tap into it and drive your focus at something that's important to you? I love this. You guys are right. Laura says my brain is mush by the end of the day. Everybody's saying morning, morning, morning. I see somebody saying, I feel like I'm on empty. This is a really good analogy because there are times where you feel like your brain is full of gas and you're able to direct your attention and focus. And then there are times where you're like, Jesus, I feel like I'm running on empty. I'm running on fumes here. And you're absolutely right, everybody. It is mornings. When you wake up, generally what the research shows is that your brain is primed to be able to focus for the first 4 hours of the day. The first 4 hours of the day tend to be, for most of us, the time of day when your brain has the most fuel and when your speed of processing is awesome and when you are able to direct your attention at what you need to be focused on, okay? So now there's a caveat to this. You can manufacture boosts of productivity and boosts of feeling like you've got a little bit more brain power. Number one, immediately after you exercise. So if you have a burst of cardio, 30 minutes is what a lot of the research says. But if you have a burst of cardio, you will get a little bit of increase in fuel. Another thing that helps is getting outside. Getting outside, when you start to feel your energy and your focus start to go to empty, getting outside is another way to give yourself a boost of brain power. But generally speaking, everybody, you need to start to marry mornings with peak productivity, okay? This is true for most of us. There will be some of you that are like, I don't know what you're talking about, Mel Robbins, because I feel like my brain is full at the end of the day. If that's you, because I see some of you going, well, that's nighttime for me. You got to run with that. And you got to save the most important stuff for those moments where naturally you feel like you've got the energy and you got the fuel in the tank to be able to focus. So kind of like, you think, what do you think of when I say the word salt? You think of pepper. What do you think of when I say the word peanut butter? You probably think of jelly. When I say the word productivity and focus, for most of us, I want you to start thinking morning. And here's why that's important. The reason why that's important is because if you can own your mornings, if you can put that thing that matters to you first thing in the morning and make a little bit of progress on it, you are going to start to feel like you are more in control. You're going to start to see yourself using your best brain power and your highest level of fuel at the thing that matters most to you. So that's a little tip for you about productivity. Try to attack the thing that matters to you first thing in the morning, before you jump on your phone, before you answer emails, before you start attacking a to-do list that's full of shit you don't really care about, before you look at social media. Direct your brain when your fuel level is high and your focus is clear at the thing that matters to you. And it's not just because it makes sense that you would want to do this. I mean, the second you look at email, your stress level goes through the roof, your attention gets hijacked. But it's also because based on research, literally your margin for error increases. They did this research with anesthesiologists. And do you know that the number of errors increase as the day goes on? The number of errors that we see in hospitals increase almost 3 times from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. From 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hand washing decreases in hospitals, and that also relates to problems in the day. Now, look, the margin of error is very small. But what happens as you go through your day, particularly if you're not getting outside to increase the fuel in your brain and kind of reset your ability to focus, particularly if you're not introducing cardio, which also increases the fuel in the brain and helps you focus, is that your ability to maintain concentration as your fuel level decreases and your brain power decreases and the distractions increase and the number of things that you're trying to remember increase, your ability to laser focus decreases. That's why mornings matter, everybody, when it comes to focus and when it comes to human error, when it comes to distraction. This isn't just research. This is common sense. And, this is not to slight anybody that is working in a hospital, because those folks are angels, particularly after this pandemic, and the margin of error is puny. But when we look at even a puny margin of error over the course of a day and of the decrease in brain power and the increase in information that your brain is absorbing, geez Louise, it does increase 3x. So you want to prioritize what's important to you first thing in the morning. And you know how I feel about the phone, everybody. Do not look at that damn thing until you have literally figured out what matters to you and you've made a little bit of progress. Now, to end, I want to give you 2 other really cool tips based on science that is going to help you with something that is also a problem right now when it comes to productivity. I believe that right now, the single biggest barrier to you being able to focus on what matters to you is Zoom fatigue. Seriously, you are online all day. You're probably on video conference calls all day. Give me a heart or a hand in the comments, everybody. If you're like, I can't get work done because I'm always on freaking video conference calls all day. Okay? I can't get anything done. I feel like I am a Zoom zombie at this point. How many of you feel like that? Like, holy smokes, I'm a Zoom zombie at this point. The number one thing that is zapping your ability to focus and to concentrate is video conference calls and being online all day. And let me tell you why. There are two reasons why this parade of Zoom meetings that you're on all day is killing your ability to focus on what's important. Number one, when you stare at a screen, your eyeballs, like if I'm staring at a screen, my eyeballs have to focus. Like they're literally focusing on something right in front of my face. And when you have to focus on something really in front of your face, it drains your mental fuel and it makes you feel tired. And so it is critical that you step away from the computer at least every 45 minutes, everybody. So every 45 minutes, what the research suggests is you need to step away from the computer or the phone or get off that Zoom conference and step outside, number one. Even just open up a freaking window if you're in your apartment and look and like get the fresh air. And second thing you need to do is stare off into the horizon. Allow your eyeballs, like it's almost like they're twisted super tight when you have to focus something that's right here. When you step outside and you stare off at the horizon for just 5 minutes, it's like your eyeballs untwist, your brain relaxes, the fuel picks up a little bit, and that's a simple trick that's going to help you with the fatigue that being online all day is causing. The second tip that's going to help you with focus, everybody, turn off your frigging camera. Sure, start the meeting, say hi to everybody, and then it is okay to say, hey, everybody, I'm going to turn off my camera because I really feel like I concentrate better. And here's the truth. The truth is you will concentrate better because if you stare at yourself on camera all day, this part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex engages, and it's hard for you to drift into kind of autopilot. If you and I are in a meeting, you're drifting in and out of paying attention because you are able to absorb information through all 5 senses. When you're in this 2-dimensional space and you have to stare at your own face, this part of your brain engages and it drains fuel faster. That's one of the reasons why Zoom fatigue is real. Zoom fatigue is draining your focus because number one, your eyes are having to really focus. It's like they're twisting really tight because you're right close up. Number two, you're staring at yourself half the time, which makes this part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, pay attention, and that drains your fuel faster. So the quick fix is turn off your camera. You are allowed to do that. You are adults here. Just tell people, I'm just going to turn off my camera because that way I notice I don't get a headache and I'm able to concentrate more. And every 45 minutes, step outside, take a deep breath with the fresh air, let the nature make your senses come alive, and for 5 minutes, just stare off into the horizon. And here's one other final tip. It is perfectly acceptable, particularly in this hybrid environment, for you to take your calls, especially if you're able to turn your camera off, outside while you're walking. If you're moving while you're listening to a conference call, your fuel level is going to rise, your heartbeat is going to go up, the outdoors is going to activate your senses, and it's a way for you to increase your focus and also be working. There you go. 3 simple tips to combat Zoom fatigue, to increase the fuel and your ability to focus in your brain. All of this stuff is research-backed tools that you can use immediately. Today, we are building on your morning routine. We have already covered in week 1, default versus deliberate thinking. We have already covered, this is driving me nuts, this little line here. I think that's a little bit better. We've already I'm sorry. For those of you on Instagram, you can't see that there's like a lightsaber going through my face on the Facebook broadcast, but whatever. If I get closer, maybe that'll work because it is driving me bananas. This is what it's like to live with ADD. We have already covered deliberate versus default thinking. We've covered the science of visualization. We've talked about how to spot limiting beliefs and how to become the kind of person that when you notice that you're thinking this and it doesn't serve you, that you deliberately think that something that is positive, that is a story about you. I want to tell you something. Just this morning, I was talking to one of my favorite people, and she has the exact same story that I used to have, that she's a bad person. And so consequently, she sees evidence all over the place for where she's bad. And she's going through this big breakup right now. And the person that she is breaking up with, basically, while the breakup process was happening, he basically said to her in a number of different ways, "You're a bad person. Push the button, push the button, push the button, push the button." We all have buttons that anybody or anything can push. And that's why it's so important, if you have limiting beliefs from your past, that you change them. Because if you tell yourself that you're a bad person, you will see evidence that you are. And more importantly, you will also start to act consistently with a bad person. And here's the truth. You're not a bad person. My friend is an amazing person. I'm an amazing person. And so it is critical for you to take control of your life and of your thinking. And it starts with the story that you say about yourself. And so we were talking this morning about how in this next chapter post-breakup, the most important thing to go forward with is the belief and the deliberate thinking that you are a good person. Look for all the good things that you do. Look for the people that are around you that do love you deeply. Look at how compassionate you are. Look at the little changes that you're making. Look at the little wins all day. Look at how helpful you are. Find the evidence, and it's going to make it easier and easier and easier for you to continue to be deliberate about what you're thinking about. So we've already covered all this. You can go back and review all the videos on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page anytime that you want. Anybody can sign up for this, melrobbins.com/mindset reset. I want to give some shout outs to some people because I cannot believe how many people are changing their lives. Let me stop that. I actually can believe. I can believe how many of you are changing your lives. And here's why. It took me about 45 years to really seriously start to go to work on how I think, to dismantle the limiting beliefs that I have. And when I did, it was such a profound, game-changing level of personal development for me that I know personally how it can shift the ground that you're standing on when you shift the thoughts that you're thinking. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that if you're actually trying the micro things that I'm telling you to do every single day that are building not only on decades of science and research, but they're building every day on one another. We started out with thinking habits, and right now you're in the middle of a training about your morning routine. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But when you make these tiny changes, particularly about how you think, it will change everything about your life because you don't realize it. But we walk through life with a filter, and that filter has been programmed by the stories that you tell yourself. And the filter reinforces the stories because that filter that you see the world through, wouldn't it be nice if we just saw the world through glitter? This filter that you have, if it's negative about yourself, you're only going to see negative things, and you're only going to have negative things come in. And when nice things happen to you, you're not going to believe that you deserve it. So it's essential that we identify the filter that you see the world through and we remove it. And we put something that's clear and that's amplifying and that's positive in its place. And one of the things that's really important in addition to the mental habits is your morning routine. And the reason why your morning routine is so important is because it's the start of your day. If you wake up and think crappy thoughts, you are setting the table to have that continue. And so I am training you to take control of your morning, and it begins with what you do as soon as you wake up. We've already covered why you should leave your phone outside of your bedroom at night. We've already covered the science behind why when the alarm gets up, you need to get up. You should not hit the snooze button because it puts you in a neurological state called sleep inertia that impacts your focus, your happiness, your mood. We have also talked about the fact that your dreams are worth 10 minutes. I actually think they're worth an hour but most of us only have 10 minutes before the chaos begins. So I want you to find 10 lousy minutes for your dreams every morning. So after you turn off your alarm, you get out of bed, do not look at your phone. You go straight to a spot and you take this little template that we gave you for free. Just go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. You can also find this, by the way, at 5secondjournal.com. So on the website 5secondjournal.com, you will find not only this downloadable template, but you're going to find a ton of videos about the science behind the journaling method I use, the science and research that's very recent about productivity. And today we're going to talk about my most favorite piece of research, and that comes from Harvard Business School, and it's called the Progress Principle. So I'm going to walk you through my journaling method. This is the one that I did today. Oh, you can't see it on Instagram. Hold on a second. There we go. And so today in my journal, first of all, we covered this yesterday. Really important for you to start with assessing your mood. And the reason why we want you to assess your mood is because research proves that your mood first thing in the morning impacts your level of productivity, your sense of focus, and your happiness all day long. So super important as a mindfulness act to wake up and tune in and ask yourself, well, how am I feeling? Am I depleted or am I energized? In yesterday's video, I shared that I kind of circled this near the depleted end, the meh kind of end, because somebody had kept me awake in the hotel all night. Well, today I'm really good. And the reason why I'm really good, and this is probably too much information, is because I'd been kind of backed up after our holiday trip to Tanzania, if you know what I mean. And so yesterday, the train finally got moving again. And so I feel really good. I'm also home so I can cook dinner for the family. And I was able to drop off my son and pick up my son. And that just makes me feel really, really good. To feel even more energized, I went to yoga class today. And so this is what we covered in yesterday's video, but I'm just showing you. These questions take 5 seconds. And if you learn how to tune in, to read your energy, and then to think of one thing you could do to boost it. By boosting your mood, you're going to boost your focus, you're going to boost your productivity, you're going to boost your sense of control. It's pretty amazing. The next thing we're going to talk about is this puppy right here. This is the most powerful part of the 5-second journal. And again, don't buy it. You don't need to. We emailed you free templates that you can use. You don't ever need to buy this thing. You can just do this in a journal somewhere. You can do this in your own journal. You can do this in a notebook. You can do this in your head, whatever you want. This is the progress principle. This sucker right here has changed my life, and it helps me be a wildly successful woman. We're launching a brand new daytime talk show that's going to have a staff of 70 people, and it's 175 shows a year. My business partners, Mandy and Chris, and I run a media company in Boston. We have a project launching with Audible Originals on February 7th. We put out videos every single day on social media. We are engaging with more than 1 million people a day on social media. On top of that, we have a ton of, I'm delivering 47 speeches between now and the end of May, and I'm still married after 23 years, and my kids talk to me. So I think I'm doing pretty good. And part of it is because I've learned to leverage the progress principle. I don't try to get everything done. Every morning after I assess my mood, based on research from Harvard Business School, I leverage something called the progress principle. And this is what the progress principle states. The people that feel the most productive and the most satisfied with their work are people who make meaningful progress on something that matters to them. That's it. That's it. They're not the people that get 155,000 things done. The progress principle states that if you make little progress every single day, just incremental steps forward on something that matters to you, you will be more productive, you'll be more satisfied, you'll be happier, you'll be more fulfilled, you'll be more present. And I got to tell you, based on personal experience, this has been a game changer for me. So today, my top project, this is my top project. Brace yourself, because it's not that ground shaking. My top project today was simply to brain dump in one place all the loose things that I want to make sure are getting done in our company. That's it. All the projects that that's it. That was just the top project that popped into my mind. Then you're going to say, this project matters to me. Why? Well, it matters to me because it stresses me out when I feel like there are loose ends to things and when I feel like I don't know what's happening. And so I need to do this for me. What's one small action I can do to move forward? One small action, you want to see how incremental this is. The only action that I committed to taking today, based on the progress principle, was to carry my 5-second journal around so that I could use the other side to brain dump the things that I want to make sure that I'm capturing so I can go over this list with the team. That's it. That's it. And I've been brain dumping things as they come up. And there's not as many loose ends as I like manifest in my head. But the good news is I'm making progress. I feel accomplished. I feel satisfied. And so will you. So all I want you to do today is I want you to continue everything that we've talked about. The kind of training part is over. We're trying to keep these training modules around 10 to 15 minutes. So the training part's over. Out of service to you, let me do a recap of what I want you to do today, and then I'm going to do some shout outs and I'm going to answer a few questions. So by way of recap, what is your assignment? Well, your assignment always and forever from this point forward, when you do a mindset reset, it's not an event, it's a process. It's something you practice all day long. The moment you notice that your thoughts are drifting to something that's not serving you, you're going to get deliberate and you're going to direct your thoughts to something that are positive. That's something you're going to do all day long. Visualization, also something that's super important. At the beginning of January, we covered the science of visualization. This is one of the most important videos I've ever done because I explain the reason why visualization works, and I also explain the 2-step method for how to visualize based on science. So if you haven't watched that, go to January 1st or January 2nd, find the video, watch it, look through your emails. It's all there. But practice visualization. Now, the way you set yourself up for your morning routine, because that's what we're covering yesterday, today, and on the 11th day, we're going to do the final 2 prompts in the morning routine that I do. Tonight, I want you to plug your phone in outside your bedroom. You're going to turn off all the alerts. You're going to leave the ringer on, and you're going to set your alarm. You're going to go to bed. When the alarm goes off, no snooze button. Get up, turn off the alarm, and then go take those first 10 minutes of the day and you use them to create a powerful morning routine to help you get focused, to help you think positive things, to help you identify your priorities, and to help you make progress on your dreams, something that matters to you. I invite you to use the one that we emailed to you, the 5-second journal method. You're going to assess your mood and you're going to do the progress principle. You can also move down to the other final prompts. I'll be explaining those in tomorrow's training. If you want to include visualization in your morning routine tomorrow, fantastic. If you have time to do a little micro exercise, fantastic. If you want to add in something else like 5 deep breaths or go walk the dog in the woods, whatever works for you, because if it works for you, you'll do it, okay? I'm trying to get you to become more deliberate about the way you're waking up and what you're thinking about and how you start your day so that you can figure out the best way that works for you.
I am a productivity consultant. I've had a challenge with people. They know what they need to do, and this is my challenge as well. I know what I need to do. I know what needs to be done.
Right.
But getting that motivation and getting over that ledge and that 5-second rule, my goodness, changed my life. Things like doing my finances. I hate doing my finances. So I would 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it, and next thing I knew, I was in QuickBooks.
Awesome.
And it started with little things. I haven't quite made it to not hitting snooze yet.
Okay. Why?
Oh, because my bed feels so comfy in the morning.
Let me tell you something.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Your business will go to the next level the second you actually beat the habit of hitting the snooze.
Yes.
And the reason why is because of the science around productivity and the brain.
Okay.
And when you push yourself to walk the talk and have the first 30 minutes of your day be the most productive for your brain, you will bring a level of conviction and authority and impact to the business that's not there currently.
Right.
You see, when you're an expert and you're a consultant, your power is limited to the extent that you personally feel like you're not using the tools. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
I say this for myself. I say this because when I think about businesses that I've had in the past, or when I was an executive coach, and I would be giving advice, but I'm not technically following it in the same regard, I'm not as powerful.
Right.
And so I would highly, highly, highly encourage you, starting tomorrow morning, you want to be the best productivity coach on the planet, that alarm goes off, notice the gap.
Right.
Because the more that you start to play with this 5-second window and you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you push yourself out of bed and you hate it, and then you take your cold shower and you hate it, and then you don't look at your phone and you hate it, and then you spend the first 30 minutes of the day pushing something forward and you hate it, but you do it, you will now be able to coach people who do the exact same thing.
Right. And that's where I'm coming from in a lot of my business is I've been there. I'm one who likes to pile things and procrastinate.
Yep.
But I know a lot of tips and tricks to get you out of those modes, and that's how I help my clients. I'm also trying to move more into productivity. I say I'm a professional organizer and productivity consultant, and I organize your space, your time, and your technology.
Great.
Which is a little bit different from most organizers because they're only focusing on their space or the time,
right,
and not the technology.
So you can organize somebody's computer, somebody's workspace, and somebody's home.
Yep.
That you can do and still snooze.
Yes.
You want to be successful and actually shift people's productivity, you got to do it for yourself first.
Right.
And so call BS on yourself and understand that, like, here's 2 years from now, how much money you want to be making? Like, no joke, as a productivity, how much money you want to be making?
I want to be making at least $100,000 a year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How are you going to feel?
Oh, empowered.
Yes, you're going to feel so empowered.
Yes.
I want you to think for a second about those zeros on that statement when you file your taxes, about what you took in.
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off and you start feeling all the excuses that come in, and that bed is cozy, I know what you're saying, I love my bed too, and you then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up, I want you to be thinking about that $100,000. Okay. I want you to be thinking about how proud you are of yourself. And I want you to be thinking about how good it feels to demonstrate and walk the talk in terms of what you're actually coaching other people to do. And if you do that and you show up every day and you think about that $100,000 and you think about what it's going to be like in 2 years when you have turned this corner, you will get out of bed. This is the corner for you.
Yes.
Okay? And the piece of advice that I gave you is anchored in a lot of science. So when people think about their future selves, they did this experiment where they had 2 control groups decide to put away money in like a 401k from their paycheck. And before one group did it, they showed them a digitized photograph of themselves 20 years older. They put in more money because they were thinking about their future self.
That makes sense. Yeah.
The people who were not shown that put in the average amount.
Yeah.
These people put in a significant amount of money without even being asked to because they were thinking about their future self. I want you to think about that future self every single morning, and then I want you to use the 5-second rule to close the gap between the habit you have now and the person you want to become. One of the things that I learned in researching the book, The High Five Habit, which was freaking news to me, Chase, but once you have somebody unpack it, you're like, oh shit. Well, that makes a lot of sense. It is research from a woman who was at UCLA for a long time, one of the leading neuroscientists in the world. She studies the brain and what it takes for the brain to learn, to change, to create. And one of the things that she discovered is the connection between your nervous system and your brain's ability to function as it's designed. And to just really dumb it down, mostly for myself, this is how I've boiled down what she talks about. So your nervous system trumps your brain. And when you are in a state of stress or anxiety or uncertainty, and your nervous system gets locked into a fight or flight response, which is what everybody is in. There's no way. I mean, your wife may not be there because she is a expert in meditation. She's a practitioner, so she has daily practices that help her flip off what's called the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, anxiety, on edge. Oh, fuck, how am I paying the bills? What's happening in politics? Gas prices are now crazy. When are we getting off Zoom? Are the kids going back to school? Do I have to wear a mask? Do I need a booster? Like all of that shit that you're processing that makes your nervous system fire up like alarm, alarm, alarm. That's your sympathetic nervous system. If you don't switch that sucker off and flip on the other nervous system, you got two nervous systems, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is your resting nervous system. It's your grounded, calm. It's the nervous system that's in play when you're in flow, being creative. It's what it feels like when you're grounded in your body and you're okay and you feel okay. And so, what I learned from Dr. Judith Willis is that when your sympathetic fight or flight, oh fuck, nervous system is running the show, your brain doesn't work properly because the alarm system takes over. And I can explain this using a very simple example. If all of a sudden the alarms went off in the studio that you're in and you smelled smoke, would you be able to solve a math problem? No.
No.
Of course
I'm
not.
out.
You're out. Well, that's basically what it's been like for the last 2 years. The fire alarms are going off and your body, your nose smells smoke. And so your nervous system flips on an alarm. The reason why it's so hard to focus, the reason why you're exhausted by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the reason why you feel like you're one more thing away from checking yourself in and needing help is because your nervous system is just fried and it's impacting your ability to think clearly. And so there's a simple trick that you can use. And I know you've talked about the vagus nerve a lot on your show. It's a really important thing to understand. It's a treasure inside your body. The vagus nerve is a nerve that runs all the way from, your seat through every major organ, your vocal cords, all the way up to the top of your head. And the vagus nerve is the on-off switch between your, oh shit, nervous system and your, I got this nervous system. And so a simple thing that you can do, and I want everybody to do this at the beginning of their day. And the reason why I want you to do it at the beginning of your day is because I guarantee you, particularly because you're in business for yourself, you're waking up on edge. Your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, are the highest first thing in the morning. And so when you wake up and you're already on edge, feeling like, oh my God, how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to pay my bills? You're rattled, you're thinking, you're worried, your cortisol levels are high. That means your, oh shit, nervous system, your alarm system is already ringing. So we got to flip the switch and turn off the alarm before you start your day so that your brain can focus and work for you. So the way you're going to do this, I call this high-fiving your heart. We're going to press in the center of your body, and that's going to kind of right by your heart, it's going to press on your vagus nerve. That's where the on-off switch is. And I'm going to teach you to manually flip the switch and to turn off the alarm system and to turn on the calm, grounded, creative nervous system that's going to help you get back into a state of flow and help you be more strategic, because right now is the most extraordinary moment in time for you as a business owner, I believe, and for a creator. So as you're pressing right here, you're just going to take a deep breath. Go ahead. And now I want you to say these 3 sentences. I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I'm loved.
I'm loved.
That's it. And most mornings, I need to do it about 23 times. No, I'm serious. Like what
I know, but
happens
I love that about you though. Like you're like 23 times. Like no exact like
well, you know when it's
I know.
when you can stop because you actually have a sensation of the
Yeah,
rattle
downregulation. Yeah.
settling and
Yep.
you come back into your body. And I didn't realize until I learned how to turn off the alarm and turn on that cool rested state that my default for as long as I can remember, Chase, has been alarm mode. That I have been running so fast, mostly away from things, that I did not comprehend just how dysregulated my nervous system was. And, I think it's really challenging for creatives like you and me and everybody listening. And even if you're a small business owner and you don't consider yourself a creative and an artist, your business is your art.
For
And
sure.
as a, small business owner, you're creating something. I didn't like slowing down is terrifying when you're creative because there can be this manic, stressed out energy that's part of the creative process. And so it was very foreign to me during the pandemic to not be able to run somewhere. I mean, I literally could not go to get a cup of coffee or go to catch a flight or run to Target to run an errand, which I didn't realize was how I was kind of managing all of this dysregulated kind of survival mode energy. But learning how to stand in that frenzy, put my hands on my heart, and bring myself back into my body so that I could leverage the intense and incredible power of my brain and be strategic instead of reactive and be confident instead of like chaotic. It's been life changing. And so I believe that, look, will putting your hands on your heart take away your problems? No, it won't change the circumstances you're dealing with. But what it does is it changes you from the inside out and changes your ability to be calm and to be confident and to be clear minded and intentional about how you face those things. And that changes everything.
Everything, because shit happens. Shit's going to happen. And it's not that we aim to prevent things from happening, but we take control of our response to those things, right? Whether this
Hmm.
is stoicism or neurology or psychology, all of those things align to say that how we respond is the measure of greatness, right? That is how we become our best self.
Or
And this
sanity.
is,
I mean, I can give
yeah,
you an example, Chase. So we've been wrapping up kind of like this big like book tour to the extent you can do one in these times. And I went over to London and we had an incredible, tour over in London. And I took my daughter with me and it was time to come home. And the regulations for getting any kind of international travel, at least right now, at the time that we are filming this, are mind blowingly complicated and they're changing in real time. And some involve printouts and others involve apps. And so I found myself at 4:30 in the morning at the airport 2 days ago with my daughter, and we didn't have the right paperwork. And as soon as we learned we don't have the right paperwork, as soon as you start to entertain, I'm not getting out of this country. As soon as you learn that, oh my God, am I going to have to quarantine here for 14 days? Then can I get back in the country? Oh my, and that whole thing happens when you allow the stress of your life or the stress of a moment or the uncertainty of something or the fear that you feel to all of a sudden surge through your body, you will not be able to solve the problems you're facing. And so literally at 4:30 in the morning at Heathrow, I got my hands on my heart as I'm huffing and puffing because I didn't download the app and I can't get back home and I don't want to stay here for another 14 days. And my daughter started, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. My daughter's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. And I bring myself back into my body. And then I start saying, what if it all works out? What if everything's okay? What if I figure this out? And I use the tools to come back into the moment, Chase. so that I can focus on what I need to do. And I'm telling you, if you're a small business owner and you are rattled and you are living with sustained stress, it's hand to hand combat with yourself in order to fight against the way that your body, your nervous system, your emotions can hijack you. And you can get control. And the more you use the tools that we're going to talk about, the faster and better you'll become at it. Today's topic is something that on its face, it seems really obvious, but I didn't really get serious about this topic until, my God, a few years ago, really. And the topic that I'm talking about is your morning routine. And I love this topic because it is an example of how you can apply what we've already been talking about in the first 30 some episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast. Whether you've listened to the Mindset Reset or the conversations we've had with experts about anxiety or healing, or maybe you've dug into the very popular episodes that we've done about habits and motivation. Even when I talk about topics like manifesting, you're starting to get that Mel is one of these people that is very, very intentional about what she does, about what she says. And the reason why I'm that way is because you're not going to change your life by accident. You're not going to become happier by accident. You're not going to become healthier by accident. You're not going to make the money that you deserve by accident. When you make a decision that you deserve more, that you're going to do the work to create a better life, that singular decision will change your life. And what we're going to do today, and I'm so freaking excited about this, is we're going to basically put everything that we've been talking about for several months here on the Mel Robbins podcast into action. And we're going to do that by talking about why a morning routine is so important for your success. And I'm going to start this conversation today by talking about the single biggest hack that has helped me create a rock solid morning routine. In fact, I call my morning routine the $1 million morning because it makes me feel like $1,000,000 when I follow my morning routine. And the structure of a great morning routine is what helps me make millions of dollars. And so, what is the hack that has helped me create such a powerful morning routine? Particularly when your friend Mel Robbins is not exactly a morning person. Well, that single biggest hack about my powerful morning routine is putting myself to bed. Yep, I have an evening routine where I wind down the day and I do a couple simple things to set myself up for success tomorrow. And then, yes, you heard it right here, Mel Robbins tucks herself into bed. And here is the hack. Your morning routine begins the night before. I'm going to say that again. If you want to master a rock solid morning routine, and trust me, you do, your morning routine begins the night before. And this is one of those topics that it's so obvious when you unpack it. Because right now, think about how many mornings you wake up and you bemoan the choices you made last night. How many times have you woken up and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have had so much to drink? Or a friend texts you and there you are at the yoga class you were supposed to meet at. They're like, I'm really sorry. I stayed up really late and, and I overslept and we've all been there. Or what about when you wake up and you literally had fast food at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way home from some event and now you've got a burrito bomb in your stomach and you're like, I can't do that to myself again. And then what do? You do it to yourself again. What if instead of bemoaning the choices that you made last night, what if you got serious about making sure that the future you, the one that's waking up tomorrow morning, is actually waking up feeling really good? Yeah, you're right. It sucks to wake up and be anxious every morning because you drank almost every night. And the number one symptom of a hangover is freaking anxiety because the chemicals in your body are getting processed. And when the chemicals get processed and you have a dump of cortisol and the dopamine drops and you got the poison of alcohol, of course you have anxiety. Don't sit there and feel anxious. Do something about it. Get serious about the choices you are making the night before and how that impacts you in the morning. And yeah, that includes what you eat, what you drink, but it also includes some other things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 5 simple things. These are game changers. These are not rocket science. You don't need a PhD to understand this, but let me tell you something. When you put this into practice, you will experience a level of holy shit transformation that is hard to put into words because the decisions that you make at night determine who you are when you wake up in the morning. And you have a choice every evening to either set the future you up for success, for ease, for structure, for confidence, for winning, or you can make decisions in the evening that set you up to feel like shit, to be behind, to have a ton of stuff to do that you could have done last night. Your decisions determine everything. And so I really want to rattle the cage today and get you to think differently about the night. I know that your days are stressful. Mine are too. That's why so many of us engage in what's called revenge procrastination at night, which is basically this concept where you feel resentful of the fact that work took up your entire day. And now you're going to get revenge by mindlessly scrolling at night or plowing through a bottle of wine or doing nothing to set yourself up because you're tired or you're mad and you deserve to relax. I agree, you do deserve to relax. But if you were to just do these 5 things that I'm going to recommend, you would have time to relax, but you would also set the you that's going to wake up tomorrow morning up for a clean slate day where you wake up, you feel great, you're set up for success, and that is going to be a positive domino that literally triggers a ton of positive stuff to happen every day. That's what we're talking about. Because the choices you make at night determine whether or not the next day is going to be easy and empowering, or whether or not you are going to wake up to a morning like the old Mel Robbins used to wake up to. And whether you're aware of it or not, I just want you to stop and consider something. Right now in your life, you already have an evening routine in place. You already have a morning routine. And today, because the big hack is understanding that a great morning routine starts the night before, you and I are going to focus on your current evening routine. And I, as your friend, am going to challenge you to change it. So let's do a quick experiment. Okay? I want you just to stop, think about the night in front of you, and be honest. What does the average evening in your current life look like? I'll go first because back when I was really struggling, the old Mel, I now realize how much my evening routine was contributing to the fact that I was struggling so much. So here's what the old Mel's evening routine looked like many years ago. I would either come home from work or I would roll downstairs from working on my laptop all day and I'd crack open a bottle of wine. I'd cook dinner by trying to throw something together that was in the fridge because I hadn't really planned anything. I'd throw a load of laundry in here and there. And then you know what I'd do? I'd basically slump down on the couch and I'd start scrolling through social media. After dinner and helping the kids with the homework, you might find the old Mel Robbins just sort of laying there on the couch with the bottle half drained, glass of wine in hand. I got a movie or some series on the television. I got my phone in my hand. I'm zoning out. I'm scrolling along. During the commercials, the old Mel Robbins, I'd probably turn to Chris, complain about my day. Then I'd look over at the kitchen and I'd see that the counters were full of crap from the dinner that we had cooked or from the backpacks that we had emptied or the laptops that we had put there. The kids' homework was typically sprawled out among the island. And I would say to myself this was the routine of the old Mel Robbins. I should probably clean that up over the next commercial break. And I'd say that over and over again. I should probably pack their lunches. I should probably turn off the TV and read a book. I should probably move the laundry from the washer to the dryer so it doesn't sit there for 5 days and then get that disgusting, damp old towel smell to it, and then I have to rewash it again. I know you do that too. And all of a sudden, it would be almost 11 o'clock before I knew it. I would have polished off that bottle of wine. I'd get up and I'd clear off the counters and put most of the dishes into the sink, a few of them into the dishwasher. I'd do my favorite cleaning trick, which is instead of scrubbing and cleaning the pans that I had cooked dinner in, I'd just fill them up with warm soapy water and let them soak. Because I'd tell myself it's going to be easier to clean them in the morning if they soak all night. Now, by this point, I'm exhausted. I'm buzzed on the wine. I'm tired from a long day. I kind of resent the fact that I have more to do and it's now 11:15, and I'd start to tell myself, "Well, I'll just pack the kids' lunches tomorrow." And then I would turn off the lights, I'd let the dog out one more time, I'd lock the doors, and I would collapse into bed with my phone. Now, it would take the old Mel Robbins a little time to fall asleep. Why? Because while I was laying there with Chris sound asleep next to me, I would scroll through my phone, I would check out social media, I'd read the news, and eventually I would zone out. And as I was lying there, I'd feel kind of annoyed that Chris had gone to bed earlier. He had already drifted off to sleep. And at some point, I'd realize, oh my God, it's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. How did it get so late? For all my fellow procrastinators out there, you know, those of us who pulled all nighters in college, who thought tomorrow is a great day to pack the bags, to start my workout routine, to clean up the kitchen, to set myself up for success. Tomorrow is the day when the new me will emerge from my beauty sleep tonight. I will shake off that hangover from the bottle of wine that I've had. I'll pop a couple Advil and I will make a fresh start. Tomorrow is the fresh start. That was the old Mel Robbins. I used to have all kinds of stories about myself for why it is that, I just couldn't get my act together. Oh, it's just so hard for me to wind down after a long workday. I have trouble falling asleep. I need a glass of wine or two or three or four in order to relax and to fall asleep. And, I'm just not a morning person. That's why I can't get up earlier. I don't know why I wake up and I feel anxious and slightly hungover, but, I'm just not the kind of person that ever just springs out of bed. And I got so much work that I just want to relax at night. What's the big deal? And the problem with this is that my nights did not set me up to have a relaxing morning. Let me tell you what the old Mel Robbins life was like. Thank God Chris is not on this episode because he would really describe it in a way that makes me feel like a loser. I would set several alarms on my phone. The first one to go off at 5:45, but that's not actually when I'm getting up. That's just alarm number 1. And then I'd set another alarm for about, 6 o'clock. And then I'd set another one for 6:15, and then another one for 6:30, and then another one for 6:45, which was kind of the time that I felt like I needed to get out of bed because that's only 45 minutes to get 3 kids out the door and lunch is packed and everything cleaned up. But I'd usually honestly roll out of bed at the last alarm, which was like the emergency alarm, which was 7:15. Sound familiar? Don't tell me you don't do this. You do this. And I want you to just consider, what does that act of setting multiple alarms say to your subconscious? Think about what those actions communicate to you. I'll tell you what they communicated about the old Mel Robbins. Waking up is hard. Getting up is hard. Mornings are hard. Life is an obligation. Being in bed is better than being awake. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to start my day. There is nothing I'm looking forward to today. I have nothing to get out of bed for that actually makes me happy, which is why this is going to be a slow death march for me of alarms that are summoning me to roll out of this warm bed and actually start this day. I wasn't a morning person because the old Mel Robbins chose not to be one. The old Mel Robbins literally did absolutely nothing the night before to set herself up for success. If you think about all the choices that I was making, because deciding to just zone out in front of TV, that's a choice. Leaving the dishes for tomorrow morning, that's a choice. not packing lunches to set yourself up for success, that's a choice. That is part of your routine. And if you don't watch it, you're going to become like the old Mel Robbins. You're going to be making your life harder for yourself without even realizing it. And one of the main reasons why I kept doing it is because I kept telling myself, I'm so tired. I don't want to have to do anything. I've worked all day. And by doing that, I was just making it harder. Now, thankfully, I finally had this turning point when I realized I don't want my mornings to be a 5 alarm fire drill because there is nothing fun about waking up late and feeling frustrated and then being stressed at your kids and then yelling at them to move faster because you yourself didn't get up on time and then scrambling to pack the lunches and the drama that comes with that and then trying to get them to eat when you haven't even prepared anything and then finding that permission slip that they needed that you signed last night but you didn't put it in a place that you could find it simply because you were not thinking about the fact that you deserve to wake up in a powerful way. You deserve to complete your day in a way that supports you. I didn't have to race out the door. I didn't have to start my day mad at my husband, frustrated by the frenzy, going from literally sleeping to a panic attack every single morning and then hopping in the car to commute to work to see that, oh my God, I have 0 gas in the tank because I was too tired when I drove home last night to stop and I just wanted to get home. So I didn't fill up the tank and now I'm running late and now I'm on the highway and I'm pulling on at the exact time that traffic literally doubles. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And here's something interesting. Doesn't it make sense that if I start my day like that, I'm probably making myself more stressed and tired all day long? That crazy morning is like a domino that falls. And it triggers more stress and more being behind and more draining energy so that you're constantly feeling like you're always reacting because you are, because you set it up that way. I know this because I lived it for years. And I just kept saying all the disempowering thing. Why can't I be like it? Why don't I have discipline? Why don't I do this? And I didn't understand how to break this down in a way that not only makes sense, but it's supported by the research. And I think I was rolling home completely spent, not because work was long, not because the day was stressful, but because my entire experience of waking up and starting the day had started that way. That I was looking forward to that bottle of wine the second the kids got on the bus because I had spent the 45 minutes I was awake running around like the Tasmanian devil. And I'm here to tell you there is an easier way. And that brings me back to this hack. You can make this easier. You can be a different person. Your morning routine is everything when it comes to success and happiness and putting yourself first and finding the time that you deserve to focus on what matters to you. And that incredible morning routine has to begin the night before. That's the hack. And that's what changed everything for me. I am not the old Mel Robbins. In fact, just describing what my life used to be like is giving me a stomach ache when I think about how much unnecessary stress and drama I created for myself, for my kids, for my husband. It wasn't fun for anybody. And so I'm not like that anymore. I am a completely different person because I decided I wanted to be a completely different person. And you don't have to be a Navy SEAL. You don't have to be a competitive athlete. You don't have to run a $1 billion company to understand that setting yourself up the night before is the secret to waking up and having a great morning. And when you have a great morning, it's easier to have a great day. That's how this builds. And so that's what we're going to talk about. How do you end the day? How do you wind things down and put yourself to bed? I want you to stop and think about something. You already have a routine about how you shut down your house or your apartment. Think about it. Do you ever go to bed and not lock the door? No. Do you go to bed and turn the lights off? Of course you turn the lights off. Do you like make sure your pets are where they need to be? Of course you do. Do you shut the refrigerator? Yes, you do. Do you turn off the TV? Of course you do. All of these things that you do to turn off and shut down the house at night. You have a routine about what you physically do in your space or your home. You lock the front door, you turn off the lights, maybe you put your dog in a crate, you brush your teeth, you kiss the kids goodnight, you read them a book, you turn off the television, you put on your PJs. There is this shutting down that you do that is routine. You don't even think about it. And I think about it, it's almost like we're putting the house to bed. It's easy to think about the list of things that you do without even being conscious of it when it comes to your physical environment. What I want to talk to you about today is what are the things that you and I can do to help you do that emotionally and psychologically? And I want to give you one more example for why a routine is so empowering when you get very intentional about it. Have you ever gone to bed? Maybe you're feeling sick or you've been up too late or whatever, or your kids come in later and you wake up in the morning and all the lights are on downstairs? It's so disorienting because you're like, wait a minute, why are the lights on? I always turn the lights off. It's so weird when that happens. It feels like something's wrong. What if I told you you can get to the point where your evening routine and the series of the 5 things that I want you to do becomes so automatic, so easy that when you don't do these things, it's disorienting. That's how important this is. So, in just a minute, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things that the current Mel Robbins does every single night. This is my evening routine, and the philosophy behind it is all about making my mornings easier. It's all about setting myself up for success and creating a rhythm and a routine and a structure to my evenings that gives me a sense of confidence, that helps me set the Mel Robbins that's waking up tomorrow morning up for success and ease, and that also makes me an amazing sleeper because this routine and the structure of it signals to my subconscious brain that we're winding down here. Just like we lock the front door and it's time to go to bed, we're turning out the lights, it's time to go to bed. You are going to do a series of things that signal to your brain and to your mind that it is time to turn it off and to tuck yourself in. Like, I think a lot about how when I was growing up, I had a very, very strict bedtime routine. My parents were not dummies. They did not want me up late. There was no negotiation. After dinner, we had to go right upstairs and we got into a hot bath. Why? Well, because we were dirty, but also because it makes you kind of drowsy, right? It's sort of like you just do it every night. It's signaling to you, the kid, that, okay, we're in our evening routine now. We're getting into the bedtime routine. And then I'd pull on my little footed PJs and I'd zip them up and we'd get a little bit of time downstairs to either play or watch one TV show. And then what would we do? We'd be right back upstairs. We'd be getting a bedtime story read to us. And then our parents would tuck us in, kiss us on the forehead or the cheek, and we were going to bed. That bedtime routine became this rhythm that created safety and structure and ease, something you can depend upon. And so I want you to join me in getting serious about your evening routine starting tonight. I want you to embrace the fact that your mornings will be 100 times better if you set yourself up for success starting tonight. And so today we're going to focus on the components of $1 million morning routine. And these are all based on research. And the thing I want you to think about is this. I really believe in something called behavioral activation therapy. And said very simply, behavioral activation therapy is the concept that if you want to change, if you want to be a better you, just start acting like the person that you want to be in the future right now in your day-to-day life. That the actions that you take today are what will turn you into the person that you want to become. And look, I know you have a vision for yourself. There is a version of you that you hold in your heart and in your mind that you see that is a better version of the person than you are right now. The you that has a better, more fulfilling job or career, the you that is truly enjoying a deeper connection in your relationship or marriage, the you that has better eating habits, better physical habits, the you that really is experiencing a better connection to the meaning and purpose in your life. That life that you envision, you're capable of achieving it. You can do the work to make that version of yourself a reality, but it's not going to happen out of thin air. You got to put in the work. And I personally believe that that work begins first thing in the morning. That every single morning you can wake up and experience a clean slate. You can wake up and you can create a morning routine. Not that the you right now likes, but the morning routine that the future you needs. And the bottom line is whether you consider yourself to be a morning person or not, a morning routine is essential. A morning routine is like the first domino. Let's just agree that every single day of your life, you wake up and you have the opportunity to create a new experience in your life. And that first series of decisions that you make, which are basically your morning routine, it's like the beginning domino that falls. And if your morning routine sucks, like my morning routine used to suck, the first domino that falls in your day is procrastination, stress, anxiety, depression, suckiness. And that tends to trigger a whole lot more of that. Now, let's talk about the other option. Have you ever had a morning where you rolled out of bed because you had to be somewhere? You actually met a friend at the gym, and the exercise class was not only not that bad, it was kind of fun, and you felt really energized and proud of yourself for going? And you were set up for the meeting that you had, you were prepared. What's it like when that domino falls? It feels good, doesn't it? It makes you feel confident and alive and proud of yourself. It kind of creates this energy and this motion in your life. And that brings me to a simple statement. The solution to almost all the problems in your life is your morning routine. If you were to get serious about creating a morning routine that makes you feel like $1,000,000, that sets you up with the structure and momentum and positive choices that act like a domino, that send you into your day feeling like you have started the day off with a bang, checking the right boxes, getting it done, feeling proud, putting yourself first. Imagine how the rest of your day flows. You see, how you set your day up is how it ends up. Say it again. How you set your day up is how it ends up. And if you are serious about making more money or making change stick or getting things done or just feeling happier or finally learning how to put yourself on the list, let's get laser focused on your morning routine. Because when you get laser focused on your morning routine and setting yourself up for success from the get go, it's pretty amazing what flows from there. And so before we get into the components of my $1,000,000 morning, I want to tell you about the old Mel. And for those of you that listened to the episode that we did about how to create an evening routine that truly sets you up for success in the morning, you have heard part of this. But the old Mel was a complete flipping disaster. I don't even recognize the sad sack of a human being that I used to be. I was addicted to my excuses. I was addicted to my alcohol at night. I was addicted to feeling miserable and to complaining about my problems. In fact, you want to know the first decision I made every single day for years? Decades, in fact. The very first decision that the old Mel Robbins used to make, I'd hit the snooze button. Now let's just stop and unpack that, okay? You wake up, the alarm goes off, the sun is out, you have a brand new day in front of you. There are people around the world that died in the middle of their sleep last night. They didn't get another day. But you, my friend, you got another day. And instead of waking up, getting up, making the most of the next 24 hours of your life, you know what the old Mel Robbins used to do? Eh. Hitting the snooze button is procrastination in its biggest form. But you're not procrastinating on a paper. You're not procrastinating on a project. You're not procrastinating on a call or a chore. You're procrastinating on your fucking life. You're basically going, the first decision I'm going to make today in this miraculous thing called life is to not do it. I'm just going to avoid it altogether. I have the option to make the most of this time. I have the option to put myself first. I have the option to move my body, to practice mindfulness, to go outside and listen to the birds. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to procrastinate. I think I'm going to avoid it. I think I'm going to roll over. I think I'm going to just opt out. And for me, I can now see that since the first decision I made was to avoid doing what I needed to do, it's so fucking obvious why I was a chronic procrastinator, because I began every day like that. And as you hit the snooze button and you avoid facing your life and you avoid facing the day, you're not feeling confident. You're not feeling energized. You're not feeling in control and empowered. You are basically embodying your excuses, your fears, your anxiety, your frustration, your fatigue. It all begins with the decision you make first thing in the morning. I believe that. And the reason why I'm being overly dramatic about this is because one of my biggest problems in life is that I avoided the hard stuff. I had a million reasons why I couldn't fix things or get a new job or pay off my bills or why I couldn't make things better or why my husband was to blame. And so if you're sick of your excuses, if you're sick of snoozing on your dreams, if you are sick and tired of letting procrastination and doubt and overthinking and anxiety run your life, let's talk about your fucking morning routine. Because let me tell you what the life of a chronic snooze button person looks like. It begins in the morning. You hit the snooze button 4 or 5 times. That was me. I'd stare at the ceiling, think about my problem, snooze, snooze, snooze. And the rest of the day, guess what else I was doing? Snooze, snooze, snooze on the problems. Avoiding the phone call I needed to make. That's hitting the snooze button on that. Avoiding the networking I needed to do. That's hitting the snooze button there. Avoiding the hard conversation I needed to have. That's hitting the snooze button there. Blowing off the gym. Another snooze button. It's not just about how you wake up. It's how you wake up, how you set up the day. That's how it ends up. The snooze button, that is just one example of the series of disastrous choices I would make for myself. Whether it was hitting the snooze button 5 or 6 times, waking up late, not giving myself enough time, skipping breakfast, never having time to exercise, never being organized about anything. It was just honestly a nightmare. And I always say you are one decision away from a different life. And one of the things that has changed my life is deciding that I didn't want to do that anymore. That hitting the snooze button every single morning was not going to help me change my life. So when I finally got serious about first getting out of bed, and then secondly, creating a small series of promises that I make and keep to myself every single morning, it was a game changer. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.